Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Unfest 2013 Grand Finals with Kalu is OP and Dark Passage. I am Pulse and I'm now joined by Metas.
Hey Pulse, hey viewers, how is it going, man?
It's going pretty well. I mean, I just had the phone went off as soon as we were about to do the countdown, which was not a good thing, and I'm sure the ice cream van will come around the corner any second. But we're now into the picks and bans. Renekton, Corki, Shen, Vi, Ari, very conventional bans from what we've seen so far in the tournament. Renekton maybe less so, but we've seen Renekton played a lot, specifically from Kalu's OP, so makes a lot of sense to ban that one out.
Sorry, I kind of lost it for a few seconds there. But as you say, yeah, I mean, these bans by and large are fairly standard in the fact that they're champions that are played a lot. They're top tier champions. Fizz is going to be added to that as well. This will leave Kassadin open, but we do know that Naru plays a really scary Kassadin, but I feel it's very much dependent on what KOP, Kalu OP are going to pick for their mid lane.
Yeah, very true. Lee Sin comes out as a very skill-dependent champion, and very quickly we have Zed into Zyra. Zyra has been locked in, waiting for the next pick out. Yep, and it will indeed be Zed, so they definitely know what they want to shoot for here. I mean, Zed I don't think we've seen from Kalu's OP just as of yet, but I think Zed's been banned out in pretty much every game.
It has. Yesterday we casted, I think, one game in Group A that had Zed in it, and they won. So it's the same kind of story as the World Finals right now, where Zed is pretty much banned 95% of the time, and when he slips through, he's very strong. Most notably, Reggie played him and went something like 10 for 1, I believe, in a matchup in Group A of Worlds. So it's a very strong champion right now, Pulse, and, well, Faker. That's all you really need to say about Zed.
Yeah, of course, and Reginald also went like 1 for 10 as Fizz, so... You know, specifically on Zed, he is very good, but not sure about some of those other champions. Anyway, cheap shots at the American scene. But Rumble, potentially the next pickup, along with Riven. I'd be surprised if I see both of those locked in. They are swapping up to the Gragas, but Riven, hello, have not seen that in competitive play, at least for a while. Oh, they've swapped up. It's going to be Gragas and Fresh.
Yeah, well, I assume you weren't watching last night then, because Riven was played by Faker as well, and he crushed in mid. It was quite scary, honestly. And Gragas is another character. Like, it just seems like Faker plays every mid lane right now. But still, it's going to be one of those kind of situations where the Gragas burst damage is going to be the main factor, I feel, here for DP already. They're going to have Lee Sin. I assume Lee Sin is going to be played from Riosta. He plays a really mean jungle Lee Sin. And then, of course, the Thresh is going to be picked up by Holy Thoth at the bot lane with Holy Phoenix. Holy Phoenix, actually, earlier on, Pulse, I don't think that you're around for it because it was a game that me and Spuddington were casting, played Ezreal really aggressive. So it'll be quite interesting to see if he goes for that again.
Yeah, Dark Passage have been probably the favourites to win this tournament. We actually saw Kalu's OP and Dark Passage meet each other in the group stages. That was Group A. And Dark Passage beat them twice. This is a best of 3, so if they can keep up the the momentum they had earlier against Kalu, that could really pay dividends. However, Kalu's OP are picking up picks I haven't seen them take yet in this tournament, Eve and also Zed. I mean, those two champions have constantly been banned out against them, so the fact that maybe Dark Passage are slipping up, or maybe they just don't feel the threat of those two champions. Of course, they are very strong, very reliant on doing well. We can see if this pays off for them. Meanwhile, Kha'Zix's locked in for Dark Passage, waiting for the last pickup.
Oh man, Kha'Zix, and the chat goes wild. This is a character that Dark Passage are renowned for being able to play very well. So yeah, Kha'Zix, Gragas, and Lee Sin all on the same team. That's a lot of burst potential, especially early game, Pulse, and you can really see the chat going crazy for the Kha'Zix lock-in.
Yeah, and I assume that's going to be on Fabulous.
Yeah.
Because he seems to be their star player, Metas, from what I've seen so far. Everyone likes the Fab chants. And Kha'Zix's very strong. They have very good picking. Like, Gragas ultimate into Kha'Zix into like an insect from Lee Sin. There's no way you're getting away from that. And that's not even counting the death sentences that will inevitably be coming in from Thoth. So, their picking is so good. On the flip side, though, Kalu's OP also have very good picking. They have Zed and they have Evelyn. They have a very kite-centric bot lane, and then potentially the Malphite. So it will give them engagement, specifically with the Evelyn Unstoppable Force. I would have to query their front line, because they always don't have one.
Yeah, this is kind of strange. They've kind of gone this is like a hokey cokey kind of composition, like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You've got Malphite to jump in, fair enough, and then Zyra to disengage. But in the middle of that is just all out brutal chaos. Whereas you look at the team of Dark Passage, they have the kind of champions that can just jump in, assassinate someone, and run away again. So it's going to be very interesting for me, Paul, seeing this stylistic clash going into the game.
Yeah, anyway, guys, we will be jumping to a quick commercial break, and when we get back, we will be in the grand finals of the best of 3 of Dark Passage and Kalu is OP. We'll be back very shortly.
Hello, ladies and gents. Welcome back to the Bulgarian Onfest Lands live coverage from yours truly, Chaos TV. I am Metis, joined by Pulse, and we are into game number 1 of the grand finale. €5,000 up for grabs between these two teams. It's going to be Dark Passage up against Kalu OP. The question on my mind here, Pulse, can Kalu OP finally get some revenge after losing those 2 games yesterday?
Indeed, Dark Passage have a very good track record against Kalu's OP, but they are bringing in new picks, potentially new strategies and ways to deal with this. They've got a little bit of experience now of Dark Passage, their play style, which is very aggressive, very slick as they move into that red jungle. In fact, the pink ward comes out from Froth, and they will be clearing that one up, so they have been revealed, so it's really down to see if they want to collapse upon them, but I don't think they really have that level 1 that is parallel to especially the Fresh. Grassing Roots would be very strong, but looks like they are going to jump into that red buff in return, which has also been warded.
Yeah, it's quite a strange one, and looking at the composition that both teams have, instantly what draws my attention to Dark Passage, they have 3 characters that can completely disengage and re-engage and reposition fights. Tristana Buster Shot, Gragas Explosive Cask, Dragon's Rage from Lee Sin. You can just ping pong people around backwards and forwards, and then they're going to die off the burst damage. That's not even counting in Thresh. He's going to be able to death sentence into box. Speaking of Thresh, Holy Thoth comes here, puts down a ward, and notices that his red buff has been picked up. Death sentence lands. He does not want any part of this, and they will be backing away. So Kalu takes the red, but in retaliation, Riosta's doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, red for red, and that's not awful, and plus they have the ward there, so even if he doesn't clear up the minions, he'll still have the timer as Lee Sin will have to clear that at some point. Lee Sin's play will probably just be go through his blue buff and then look for a gank, so they have evened it up, and that's really good from Kalu so far in the bot lane. Shim takes some hits from Prof, who already lands a very nice death sentence, and I hope that's doesn't represent the rest of the laning phase, because if Prof continues to land those death sentences, that could spell very nasty times for that bot lane from Kalu's OP.
Yeah, it certainly could. We were casting a game previously, myself and Spud, and the death sentences were just flying in left, right, and centre. It was absolutely brutal at bot lane. It got the game snowballing very quickly. Another thing that we saw when we were casting EOS Challenger Series with Meet Your Makers and Libic were using Thresh, it was the same story, Pulse. It's a support that has the capabilities to make plays and gift your team a free win.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm looking at the top lane right now, and we see Kha'Zix and Malphite up there, and Malphite shouldn't really be pushed out by Kha'Zix. He can probably all-in him better than Malphite can, but because he's so tanky and he will typically like to build armor anyway, it's fairly unlikely we'll see that. In the bot lane, Prof takes some hits in return, nice grassing roots comes across, locks him down to about 30% HP, so that will stop him from following in with a death sentence for a while, but at least he can just throw out the death sentence and not go all in. But Lee Sin in the bot lane, they could go for that classic Lantern into the Lee Sin gank, so we'll see if that comes true, as he is looking to move into the bot lane at least. In the top lane though, gank comes in.
It does, and Fab's trying to run away right now, but you've got a red up Evelyn chasing you down, flashing in, double flash actually, from Zeka and Kalu, and they are looking for this kill. However, barrier comes up, is it going to be enough damage? No, it's not, and Fab somehow, someway, escapes by a slither of HP, and will be recalling.
Yeah, Void Spike's mechanics and the barrier. Didn't even notice he was running the barrier, but mean on bot lane, Riosta looking for that gank to happen. Death Sentence comes across, doesn't quite connect with Sena, and he will back on out. And yeah, in the top lane, he actually juked back into Evelyn, knowing that he still had the barrier, so she wouldn't killed him off the back of that. But then got the healing from Void Spikes, which kept him alive. So very nice mechanically from Fabulous.
Yeah, absolutely, and living up to the hype train that is in chat. Yeah. As soon as that happened, all he saw was Fab. So big plays from him.
And I guess that's why a lot of the attention is onto Fabulous at the top lane. Like, Kalu realizes if they start taking some kills onto Fab, that'll demoralize them. But we have the aggression from bot lane from Phoenix. He's going in very deep, shielding from Dark Passage. And Riosta comes in from the top side, but unable to connect the dots and pick up any kills.
Yeah, not managing to convert that one, man. Riosta was in the right place at the right time. In actual fact, Caitlyn Sena flashed away, was very much respectful of Riosta's Lee Sin and the Sonic Wave resonating strike cues that would be flying out at his face. And again, that is something that Riosta is going to have in this game, and that's a lot of presence. He plays such a good Lee Sin jungle. One of his main downfalls, however, when we've been casting him, is his over-aggression sometimes. Kind of leaves his team with a gaping hole, because he'll go in super aggressive by himself. If the play doesn't work out, he'll end up dying. But speaking of the junglers, Kalu is now just moving around to double golems, kind of lurking around this bot lane.
Yeah, and Froth is by himself, so as they push in this minion wave, they could look for the gank. Hasn't been revealed just yet. Now he's seen bursts out of stealth. Dark Passage comes out, drags him back into the turret. Will it be enough? Death Sentence lands, and should surely be the kill. Froth bringing out the plays.
Yes, it was first blood, however, for Sena, and the double assist on top of that. And that's all as a result of the previous harassment. Top lane Zeka and Fab are going head to head right now. Both of them are close to that level 6, just dinging themselves up to 5, so not going to be any fireworks as of yet. That could very well change once Zeka has the unstoppable force, however.
Yeah, we're starting to get to the stage in the game metas where a lot of these champions are reaching level 6 areas, so they can start to go for those roaming ganks, and they'll have those big playmaking ultimates available to them. Specifically Kalu, when he hits level 6, he'll have the Agony's Embrace, chain that into Zeka's unstoppable force. Along with the level 6 from Zed, I would expect to see him starting to roam now, maybe look for a gank on bot lane, top lane, or even for a jungle invasion, as the buffs will be coming up very shortly in about 30 seconds. And then another 30 seconds until the next buff spawns, respectively, depending on what they took second. So jungle invades are on the cards, but a gank is definitely going to happen up at top lane. Fabulous has not used his leap just yet, and actually puts a lot of hurt down onto Kalu, but doesn't pick up the kill. Drops into about 50% HP.
Wow, that burst. It didn't seem like Zeka had read the script there, because Evelyn's coming in and he's just like, nope, I want farm. I am hungry, feed me more. So it's a case where Evelyn just kind of went in and nothing ended up happening. Interestingly enough as well, Pauls, actually hold the thought, because now he's just hiding around this red buff. He's ready to make some serious Gragas explosions, and he does have the help of Riosta as well, but actually Evelyn is going to be backing on off, landing the Qs onto Zed, putting down some harassment, but Dragon's Rage is not available for Riosta, so he's not going to be making any insect plays. He's very good mechanically, by the way, with Lee St. Paul, so that is the one to watch out for. Now coming over to red buff, and it's kind of more of a flirtatious affair than anything else.
Yeah, I've just been keeping an eye on bot lane, but it looks like Riosta could be sandwiched in here. Dragon's Rage come back, Living Shadow to try and follow up, but Deathmark will not be enough. Does he choose to go back in? But the answer is a no, and I think that's the most wise decision he could have made.
Yeah, and interesting enough, the little minion that he picked up from the red buff gave him level 6. So that was like a millimeter away from not having the Dragon's Rage and ending up dying instead, or at least having to pop the summoner spell, the flash. So it's pretty interesting. A top lane though, what I was going to say before that red kind of flirtation happened in the jungle there, is that Malphite or Kha'Zix, neither of them have teleport. So when Dragon is available and being fought for, neither of them are going to be able to rotate particularly quickly. It's going to come at the end of a recall or potentially a pick or two.
Yeah, absolutely. It would require one of the teams to say, okay, we need to go for Dragon, and then they have to think about it a good 30 seconds in advance. Now Fabulous is recalling, so they might decide to go onto that play for Dragon, or he might just carry on back to top lane. It's kind of interesting that Zeka has actually opted not for the teleport, something you usually see from Malphite, purely because they don't have that much kill potential in lane. I guess it's because they were running the Evelyn, so it's like, okay, maybe they have a better chance, but having Ignite on your tank, it can work out, they can get ahead, but only specifically when you're going for champions like Renekton, who transitions into a tank and has a good laning phase. Zeka, yes, it results in more damage, but I'm not necessarily sure he needs it.
I agree, because yeah, maybe you can get a kill early game with Malphite, but honestly that teleport's going to pay out dividends. Speaking of Malphite, again just going backwards and forth between himself and Fab at the top lane, both of which are level 7, so that's going to mean that the first evolution point goes into Taste Their Fear, as you'd expect now. Meanwhile in mid, actually, Evelyn is coming in, Explosive Cast goes down on Inksy, but Evelyn, right place at the right time. Can she secure the kill? Off the back of this though, body slam through the wall. Meanwhile at bot lane, actually, lots and lots of action going down. Zyra picking up the kill on Holy Thoth, while Riosta is there, so they are looking to answer back on this ganking attempt, and indeed they will do so. Very nice play there, Pulse, and also a tower to boot.
Yeah, they kind of baited a little too hard, and that did result in him dropping along with the tower. Like, Riosta realized he had to go for something, otherwise they would have lost massively, but it still happened regardless. In the mid lane, damage coming in from Kalu, who actually flashes, and the red buff is ticking down. Can he connect the last hate spike? And it does come in and picks up the kill.
Oh wow, I was kind of surprised that Gragas stayed around in the mid lane there. Maybe just a tiny bit too much hubris, too much belief in yourself. And here comes Kalu again, the death mark on Riosta as well. Jumps back with the insect mechanics, but it's not able to pick up the kill on Kalu, just knocking him sideways. Did take a couple of tower hits, however, but he is going to fall. And we were speaking earlier about, can Kalu get some revenge for those previous defeats yesterday? Seeming like they're starting very, very confident in this game.
Yeah, Fabulous trading off with Zeke at the top lane. Zeke completely out of mana, but there's the Ignite. It shouldn't be enough with the health pot coming out. That has saved his life. But the trading potential from Zika is very deceptive. But Fabulous has held onto his barrier, so in the next trade, he will be in better shape. I would say that maybe Dark Passage have left too many good and strong champions out for Kalu, so that might be one of the reasons that they're so mechanically good with those specific champions, that might be enough to bring them into the late game. But Inksy finds himself narrow, uses the Cutlass, knocks himself back using the explosive cast, follow up from Riosta, body slam comes out, an assist and a kill.
Very nice from Naren. That's exactly what the Doctor ordered from Dark Passage. We saw them earlier when they were playing actually go really far behind. So it's pretty impressive what they did earlier on, Pulse. I know you weren't around for it, but myself and Spud were casting them. Honestly, it escapes me who they are playing against now, but they were like 5,000-10,000 gold behind and they managed to bring it back. That's also like a 5-1 tower deficit. So they're a very good team playing from behind is what I'm saying. So even though they are behind right now, if they can get a couple team fights, they're going to be good to go.
That's kind of the mark of a better team, or a good team rather, because if you are better, then you will gradually come back as the game progresses, because you'll just outplay them in any scenario. In the early game, it's very easy to fall behind, because mechanics is a thing which honestly stops mattering, not completely, but there's an element of when you kind of pass like gold region, mechanics become less of an issue when it gets to the laning phase, and then when you come up to challenger, it kind of increases again, but Box comes down in the bot lane, and along with Stranglethorn, so nothing really happens, but 2 big ultimates have been already burnt.
Yeah, both the summoner spells and ultis indeed have been utilized there. Here comes the Grasping Roots, Dark Passage instantly down. I'm going to call it the Lantern, because the Dark Passage from Dark Passage is kind of confusing, as I said earlier. Yeah. Oh, it was Guru Gaming, it just came to me there. They were behind against Guru Gaming, and they managed to claw it back with a double AD composition. Here comes Yosta from the side, Q will be landing. Are we going to have any big plays? But Yosta's taking so much punishment from the Evelynn and the Caitlyn as well. Holy Phoenix is going deep here. He's picked up the first kill. Is going to get the second rocket jump, but there's Ace in the hole, forcing off the barrier. And in the meantime, Evelynn has just gone huge, picking up that kill onto Thresh as well. So a 1-for-1 trade. But Tristan is very low, forced to recall in this blue bush area. Here comes Evelynn from the side, and that's probably going to be Holy Phoenix dropping. In fact, Kalu running straight past there, does finally take it down. Naru's now being chased out, but should be fine.
Yeah, very messy fight, but a 1-for-1 overall, I believe, and 6-3, so we still have Kalu's OP leading by about 4k, which is a very significant and hefty advantage in the early game, but nothing that you couldn't necessarily come back from. I really do fear Kalu OP's composition if they fall behind even very slightly, because they lack a complete front line.
I'm really surprised that Triss went that deep. Yes, you got the kill. Yes, you got the reset on your rocket jump. But in a really putting yourself in a really precarious position. Kalug's had a great game thus far. Is going to be running away from the blue buff right now. Naru and also Fab. But Inksy is also here. So a 3 versus 3, potentially 6-man brawl around the blue buff. And I have to feel that Kalu OP are probably going to come out on top of this due to the fact that they just have higher health bars. Zika is very, very tanky. Evelynn's doing a lot of damage with that Spirit of the Elder Lizard, so they are going to pick up that blue buff and pull themselves back.
Yeah, something that Kalu's OP have and that Dark Passage don't is a dedicated tank at this stage. Malphite can afford to go straight up tank, Kha'Zix can't. Lee Sin will gradually do that, but being in the jungle, he won't be as tanky as the top laner anyway. So when it came to that, Malphite could just be in front of them and have the threat of his ultimate and ignite. And then Evelynn could just, meanwhile, take the blue buff, and he didn't have any answers to that. Their transition into mid and late game is probably slightly better, but Tristan's Caitlyn are probably comparable. I wouldn't say that Caitlyn is like a hyper carry, but Tristana definitely is. So maybe slightly beating them in the late game pressure, but still, if they fall too far behind, Kalu's OP are just going to ride that one home.
They certainly are. One thing though that is kind of in the back of Dark Passage's mind, I'm sure, is that yesterday Kalu OP were ahead in a game they're playing as well around the same time. It wasn't by this much though, it was just by a couple of thousand, and Dark Passage managed to bring it back and indeed win. And that came as a result of a couple of one team fights at the Dragon area. They picked up a couple and then just really snowballed it home. However, this time I have to say that Kalu OP are playing with a certain additional confidence. Kalu has just been everywhere on the Evelynn, involved out of the 5 of his 6 team kills here in this game, and he's just putting in such a good performance, Pulse.
I think a lot of it yesterday was Kalu's OP was looking too hard for team fights, and in this game they really haven't. They're grouping up, and probably the right decision since they are so far ahead, and they can go for these skirmishes a lot more than they can for team fights. And Dark Passage bring themselves back, no picks come out, but the collapse wasn't quite fast enough. Now in top lane they are trading off, and Zika goes back in, and with the ultimate, the Unstoppable Force comes out, nukes him down, drops low from the tower, but it's not going to be quite enough. In the bot lane, Gragas did look for the collapse, but he didn't choose to go all in.
It's just like a different Kalu OP has shown up to this finals here. And they are going to be pushing down that top tower as well, as Kha'Zix is still dead for 15 seconds. Death sentence lands here from Holy Thov, but the flame will not be connecting. And this pain train keeps pushing on, chugging along the tracks at bot. It's going to be staying at Inksy and Shim. Meanwhile, from the back, Kalu, here comes a death sentence. Instant Strangle Thorns. On top of that, it's the 2-for-0 exchange. They're looking for that third kill on Holy Felix. Here comes Ace in the hole, forcing the barrier for the second time as soon as it's off cooldown. But this could very well be a lot of damage in this inner bottom tower. So again, they're getting their couple of picks and then converting it into a free objective.
Yep, Kazak's going to try and clear the wave, look for the cleanup, but they're not even low enough after that engagement under tower. 9-3, taking another tower 6k ahead. And Dragon will be up in about 30 seconds. Not sure if they want to stick around or go home and come back. Looks like they're going to do the latter. But this might be a timing play coming in from Dark Passage. They could reclaim some gold, but if they leave it too long, then Kalu OP could just go for another fight, and then they'll have to concede that as well.
Yeah, this game is just, honestly, I'm kind of taken aback because, you know, at the very start of this tournament, Pulse, we were both sat here at 8 in the morning yesterday thinking, who do we think is going to win this tournament? We both unanimously agreed that we thought Dark Passage would, and fairly comfortable. But I'm happy that, you know, Kalu OP have shown up to this game and they're like, no, it's not going to be an easy win. If you win this, you're going to have to come through us really, really hard because we're here to play.
Yeah, and the kind of same thing happens in DreamHack Bucharest. You know, we were saying, well, Copenhagen will probably have this, Millennium will be the finals, and then they'll probably beat them. And then H2K came out huge, beat Millennium, and then beat Copenhagen Wolves 2-0. So maybe Kalu OP looking to repeat some of that glory.
Yeah, because when you get to this finals, remember this, even though we're casting online from England, this is a Bulgarian LAN, and both these teams are there on site. In fact, hold that thought, because Inksy is going very hard onto Holy Phoenix, and look at the amount of distance that he's covered there. Inksy's mechanical play is so impressive, and he will be taking down Tristana. We're talking about Trist being a hyper carry. If you get shut down this hard, however, that's just not going to happen. So really nice play from Zed, but as I was going to say, they're on site, they're at the LAN right now, in front of a live audience. They're cheering them on, and I do wonder how that's going to affect the players' mentality going into this. Could it be a case that maybe Dark Passage are a bit nervous in the grand finals?
Yeah, very possible. I mean, Dark Passage do have a very big fan base, but we've seen time and time again, having that big fan base, having the fans cheering for you isn't always going to be the factor that completely turns it in your favour. I mean, look at TSM, they're not doing that well in Worlds at the moment, so even so, Kalu OP leading with a very strong advantage, and all over the board they're doing very well. They're just slightly better in every regard, and that's got to be scary for Dark Passage, because they don't have many ways of just coming back into the game, apart from like outplaying them in the team fight. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Froth finds himself caught, followed from Inksy. The death sentence doesn't quite connect. Barrel roll comes out, and Riosta forced back 1-0. We'll see if they can push into this tower.
I just feel like they're lacking any tanky players. Like, yes, Lee Sin's going fairly tanky, but because Riosta has been caught so many times, he's kind of low level. And no one's able to absorb that much damage. Malphite's doing a chunk of damage right now, early on. So is Caitlyn with the early Infinity Edge. So, yeah, it's kind of difficult. You've also got Evelyn, who's fairly tanky, especially with the Agony's Embrace with a shield that comes up, and is just doing all kinds of damage. It's difficult to see how they can stop this onslaught, Pulse.
They've gone for a very snowball composition. I mean, even within teamfights, they look to snowball, like pick up a kill, get the reset on Tristana and also Kha'Zix, and then go for the next kill. And that teamfight hasn't come to fruition because they're not ahead, and their composition doesn't work because they're not ahead. So Kalu is OP. As long as they can stay one step ahead of the game, then there's very little that Dark Passage can do about it, because they won't be able to teamfight. They can't really pick anyone because their picking potential is good, but then Kalu's OP, they have very good mobility. Like, Zed will be very quick, along with Evelyn in their passives. So, it's not like they will really give any ground unless they make a huge mistake.
And the other thing as well, which is quite interesting, is they have 3 champions in their roster right now that are capable of split pushing. Evelyn's a pretty good split pusher. She has the, you know, the movement speed increase and the fact she can go invisible and quite a lot of damage, so she can chunk through those creep waves with the hate spikes. Zed is very similar. He can split push very fast, and so can Malphite. Whereas you look at the side right now of Dark Passage, Maybe Kazakhs can, but it's not necessarily the greatest of split pushers. So they're just going to find themselves constantly going behind in these fights. They have no teleport, they have no global, they don't have the Shen stand united. It's going to be quite easy, I feel, for Kalu OP to just outmaneuver Dark Passage on top of all their other woes.
Dark Passage really didn't have any duelists, and I just saw Fat Fabians use his Taste of Fear on Malphite and just did it again. It took maybe 50 health off him. That's so little. He can't trade off with him. Over time, Zika will just grind him out. And that's scary. That's really scary. I feel that Kha'Zix may even need to just go for a Tiamat, just so he can outpush Malphite so he doesn't grind him out. And then it will give him a bit of sustain as well. But at the moment, they just don't have duelists.
And really, Kha'Zix is not going to do any damage to Zeka. Look at how tanky he is right now, just building full armor, full HP. Yes, if Gragas comes around, there's not a lot of magic resistance to deal with that. Here comes the explosive cast. They're going to be 2 players chasing after Zeka, and this could allow the mid tower to fall down. So this is what I'm talking about with the split push capability of their lineup. Yes, you send 2 without actually even killing Zeka, but in turn you lose your inner mid tower. They're losing this game slowly and painfully, but there's nothing they can do. They can't break out of these shackles.
Yeah, in short, Zeka used his ultimate unstoppable force for a tower, and that is so worth it. And as you said, they can just split push, and there's nothing the Dark Passage can really do about it. They'll need to start itemizing against that, but it would require a very swift change in play style. It almost looks like Fafavdus has read it and he's gone for a pickaxe. Not sure if that's going into a Last Whisper or if that's going into a Tiamat. I would personally like to see a Tiamat because he won't be able to kill Malphite anyway. He just needs to be able to stop him from pushing in more turrets. And now they've lost out all of their inner turrets, so they'll just have to sit at the inhibitors, and if they get a pick, then they'll just take that as well. It's difficult. It's very difficult.
It's just this claustrophobic constriction right now from Kalu's OP, and that's all testament to how they've been playing this game. They've been maneuvering around very well, setting up picks and kills. 24 minutes on the nose in this game, 28.4 to 38,000, 9.5k deficit, and they are looking to trap Dark Passage. They have vision, they know there's no wards around the Baron area, and you can see the pings coming down. Now Dark Passage are kind of very much gingerly walking their way up here. They don't really want to fully extend themselves out. You can see they're kind of split up right now. Fab's in the front line, is going to be running away, and for now they've survived this, or have they? Because Thoth has been caught out from Evelyn. Ace in the hole comes out, forcing that flash away. Will he actually go down? Yes, he will from the side. I was just curious if that's going to happen. Meanwhile, actually, the exhaust comes down to Fab. That's 2 for 0 trade globally. Make that a 2 for 1. As Zed will be going down, but here comes Kha'Zix from the backside. Fabulous will be picking up 1. Here's explosive cast as well. Beautiful team fight from Dark Passage thus far, especially considering how far behind they were. But now Kalu has rejoined the fray after picking up the support kill. Not looking too good for Naru. And the fail flash from Kalu. That could very well mean that Naru survives this one. Although Evelyn has a lot of movement speed. Puts up the smiley, and there we go. Has just caught back up again, so no problems. Yes, you failed your flash, but you should be fine. That being said, Zonny's Hourglass and the flash, so it's not going to be getting the kill after all.
Yeah, but that's given time for the mid lane of Zeka and Sena to push down that middle turret. At least put some damage onto it before Froth and the rest of his team catch up. That team fight was probably the best it could have gone. That's the death sentence onto Malphite, but well, I don't think anything's going to happen anytime soon. But that team fight probably went as well as it could have done for Dark Passage, and they still lost. They split them up. Kha'Zix could go after anyone he wanted. Gragas landed his ultimate onto a good 3 people and split them up. And then Holy Phoenix could get some resets off, but it still wasn't enough.
Don't worry, Kalu, nobody saw that flash, honest. It's not
We were only following you.
People. It's not like the chat was filled up with people laughing or anything. But to be fair to Kalu, yes, that was a bit of egg on face, but 6-1-3 has been playing phenomenally strong thus far in this game, Pulse.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's one fail play out of, what, another 10 that went perfectly,
exactly.
so
yeah.
You can't really complain about that. I think he did something similar in the last game as well, which was Kalu versus who was it? Bulgaria's finest. He tried to do this insect maneuver where you would insect, and then they flash, and then you flash, and then kick. Meanwhile, in the top lane though, Fabulous dropping solo to Inksy. Bombs a minion in the meantime, misses the shurikens. Can they actually join in from behind? Ultimate comes out, zones him away. Can he turn this around with Taste Their Fear? Not quite. The animation cancels. Body flop comes down, picks up the kill, but now Gragas in a very precarious position. Can he flop his way to victory? He gets out of one, he gets out of the second ultimate. Can Sena pick up the kill? And slowly but surely, Stranglethorn comes out. There's 2 ultimates used, but it's only a matter of time, I feel, before Naru gets picked up as they maintain the vision. Zhonya's comes in, Piltover misses. Now from the side, Phoenix has joined the fight. Naru drops along with the cheese wheel, which will chase him all the way through there. His slice through the air somehow, not really sure how that worked. But Selneth following after. Huge ultimate comes out. Oh, the friendship tester. Froth, please. But the shielding was just enough. But Zika from the side, he's spotted them. They're trying to pick up the blue buff. In fact, he's trying to just get their HP off it. Death Sentence comes through, but no kill comes out.
Dude, that was like a long-range sniper round right there. That was the longest ace in the hole I've seen for a long time. It was just unbelievable. And somehow Holy Phoenix managed to survive that one. What you didn't catch there, I was watching the stream back, and obviously because you were focusing on the fight, is that Evelyn was trying to solo Drake. Riosta queued in, stole it, Ward jumped back out again, all within like the space of half a second. It was unbelievable mechanical play, and stole Dragon. So some style points overall, and they are starting to bridge that gap slightly. Last time I said it was about 9.5k, they brought it back by 500-600 gold. Nothing to write home about though.
Yeah, indeed. It's kind of a pity he pulled off that amazing steal at the same time Huge Action was coming out, because I would have. It would have been great to pick it up on camera meta as one for the highlight reel, but even so, Kalu OP still with a very commanding lead, 5 towers ahead, but Dark Passage are still in this game. They've proven their teamfight potential is very good. Gragas is 3-2-1, so he does have the ability to nuke down anyone he pleases. But he's trading off with Kalu OP, and talk of the devil. Ultimate comes down, and now into the Zhonyas. I think by both of these players actually, and Kalu finally picks up a kill, bringing in the godlike.
Yes, godlike Evelyn is always a terrifying thing. 7-1, as you say, both Sonny's Hourglass used in styles, like yellow all over the map there. But, Thresh and also Fabulous's Kazakhs need to be careful, but here comes Echo from the side. Who did they focus first? It's going to be Holy Phoenix, who jumps back into the Stranglethorns and gets knocked back in the air. Musical chairs, and they will be taking that kill down, not before Tristana does claim the kill back onto Zyra. Box used defensively, very nice, and actually that's going to be their shutdown coming in from Fab. So they're starting to rack some gold up here. They've not lost any inhibitors either. So even though it's very one-sided, Dark Passage aren't out of this game just yet. Inksy's been caught from the death sentence. Flay does go amiss though, and they will be pulling themselves back.
Yeah, Zika when he uses Brutal Strikes has 380 armor. That means that he can tank anything in terms of like a tower or even anyone who is an AD user. Meanwhile, the rest of the team backs on off, but that just shows how incredibly tanky Zika is. Meanwhile, Lee Sin lands a perfect Q onto Sena. He looks to kite him away. He's got a trap in that bush. That might be what he needs. Riosta backing on off though, lands another Q. Does he choose to follow up? He's looking for it, but knowing that Zed is on his way, wisely backs on off.
Yeah, we've been speaking a lot about Evelyn. Actually, at top lane now, Zeka is coming head-to-head with Naru. But he's so tanky, flashing out of the body slam. Here's the explosive cast, pushing him against the wall. And now the cavalry is coming in, Riosta and also Holy Thoth from the side. However, Seismic Shard comes down. It's going to be speeding up Malphite. Can he escape? Unstoppable Force is available again. He's going back in. He's going ham right now. Maybe underestimating the damage, but Zed is there. Zony's Hourglass instantly used, and Fabulous will be picking that first kill up. Could be going down right now to Evelyn, who flashes in. On top of that, remember, Zony's Hourglass will be available. Inksy going back in, and it's 3-1 trade right now for Malphite, but here comes Holy Phoenix. He doesn't have enough damage to go head-to-head with both Kalu and Shim at the same time. Ace in the hole comes out more for harassment than anything else, but very ballsy play from Zeka.
Yeah, and it pays off. That was a very good read of the situation. It's like, okay, my team are on the way, and if I have my ultimate backup and they're grouped up to try and chase me, I hit it on 4 people. Gives him enough time for Inksy to line up all the damage from his Shadow Slash, and then they picked up an inhibitor off the back of that. So Zika, very well played.
It's that moment of clarity, like the calm in the chaos there, where he was running away. He'd just been chased down for the last, 30 seconds. He's like, yeah, the bullies are going to become the bullied now, because I'm about to flatten your face. I now have some friends in high places that have my back. And it was just a really nice engage. And not just the 3 for 2, but the inhib as well. It's always a good thing.
Yeah, and they've just pulled themselves even further ahead. They're about 9k in front of Dark Passage, but their team fights are so good, and Dark Passage kind of have to be grouped for their composition, and then it's their composition is kind of like twofold. It's like we group up, we use our ultimates, and then we split them up, and then we go for like small skirmish fights. But they can't choose to do that because every single time it's Kalu's OP instigating the fight, and they come out ahead as a result. So if they're on the defensive, Kalu's OP will continue to pick up good initiates. So while they need to be aggressive, they can't because they'll lose regardless. Baron is up. If they choose to go for the throw zone, then maybe they can come back into it, but there's no real reason for them to do so. And we've seen Kalu OP previously in this tournament, a very patient team. One of the most patient I've seen in a while on metas. Last game, we actually saw them pull, I think it was 3 tower sieges, and it was sat there for like 3 minutes. And it was like, well, we know this is working. We're taking the tower down 200 HP per wave. We'll just stay here. And it was literally sieging for like 3 minutes.
Yeah, and patience certainly is a virtue in League of Legends. They need to walk that fine line though, because there is a difference between being patient and just being passive for the sake of being passive. Because as you mentioned earlier, Holy Phoenix is playing an AD carry that will become a hyper carry late game. So you don't want to allow Tristana, who is starting to get quite scary. Plus the fact that Kha'Zix now has both a Black Cleaver and a Last Whisper, so that is going to shred through some of the armor that Zeka will be bringing to the table. So they don't want to play this too passive, because Dark Passage, even when they're a long way behind, then they have a deficit of gold, they're still very, very strong pulse. That being said though, I feel this is going to be a free Baron. Look at how incredibly fast this is falling.
And that was about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
The window of opportunity was almost not there from Dark Passage. They finally realised, but there's just no time. And they know. They just back off to their base. Because if they step outside of their base, they lose. Because Kalu's OP will just collapse onto them. And that's actually how the last game ended with Kalu's OP and Bulgaria's Finest. Bulgaria's Finest finally got some respite because Kalu's OP backed off. And then they collapsed on them and they won the game. It was very anticlimactic, but they've learned from previous teams' mistakes and have just chosen not to do that at all.
It really is the power of having an Evelynn with a Spirit of the Elder Lizard and also just generally being fed, because the hate spikes are coming out thick and fast. So their Baron killing potential is so high right now. And look at the ace in the hole just chunking down Thresh in the meantime. Now looking to push down the top tower, however, with the super minions coming through mid, it's going to be quite difficult for Dark Passage to make some plays. There's a lot of initiation on the cards as well when you have the Unstoppable Force into Stranglethorns coming up straight afterwards. And we were speaking before, there's not a great deal of tankability on the side of Dark Passage. Riosta is really their only tank at this point. The rest of them are quite squishy. They're going to go down fast. Dark Passage do try and engage with the death sentence, but you certainly don't want to engage on top of that Malphite.
Yeah, for sure. And they do have a front line in the sense that they have their abilities, but it just means that Thresh has to land his ultimate at the right time. So does Naru. And Fabulous really needs to step up his game because he will need to start getting kills so they can get the resets on their jumps and kind of relocate during the team fights. But now they're in a siege situation, it makes it very difficult for them to kind of go for the fights they want because they're going to be in a bottleneck, in a funnel. So they can't split them up necessarily, and Fabulous at any time can still be shut down in a fight. So either they find themselves a pick now, which they try to do onto Kalu, and this will probably be a 4 versus 5 if they choose for this fight because Evelynn has been dropped low, but Baron buff should keep him healthy.
That's some good news that Tristana's doing enough damage to force back Evelynn. Lots of damage from that explosive cask actually on top of it. And Sena is out of position. Fortunately from his perspective, had the barrier up and available. But here comes the hard engage. Flashes burnt aplenty. Still, alarm bells must be ringing. Zeka from the side box is going to come down. He is isolated from the rest of his team. However, here comes Zoni's Hourglass. Tristana was bot lane farming away some of those creep waves and now going to be coming back in from the side. However, has the damage already been done? Double kill. There's the Agony's Embrace on top of it. And they really picked the right moment to strike with Tristana nowhere near the rest of the team. It's going to be 2 kills. It's going to be the second inhibitor as well. And Tristana falls to the fury of Inxie Zed. that's probably going to be the GG right here. 40-50 seconds respawn timers for the side of Dark Passage.
And once again, Naru dropping low, and Ryosa, they're backing off. They're putting a valiant effort. The entire team of Kalu's OP are very low, so a good ultimate from Naru in the right place might be enough to clean up. He's got it back up. Ultimate comes down. He takes out 2. Looks for the 3rd onto Shim. This is a battle trying to take them down before they take down the Nexus. Triple kill for Gragas. But that's the GG, well played.
A consolation triple for Gragas there, and man, oh man, it's just that perfect timing, Pulse, to engage. You see Tristana taking down bot lane on CS. You're like, okay, that's one of their main damage dealers is not even going to be part of this fight for 5-10 seconds. Let's just go ham. Again, Zeka with the perfect engages. He played such a good game this time around. And I, again, have to put mad props to Kalu. I think his Evelyn was the determining factor in that matchup.
Oh, the team is named after him, so they obviously see him as as their star player. But Zeka as well, like his engagements, it wasn't just mechanically they were good because they were hitting like 2, 3, 4 people, but his shot calling was perfect because as an initiator, whether you liked it or not, you kind of have to make those calls because it's split seconds and then your team has to follow you. Otherwise, you lose because you've just gone in and you've sacrificed a member. And in that last team fight, not sure if you caught it, but Zeka was sitting under turret and kind of just running in circles, doing a bit of damage here and there, but essentially making it that the tower wasn't an issue, so that Evelyn could dive into the backline without fear of the tower stopping her from doing that. The barrier wasn't there for them.
Yeah, it's very true because, simply put, Malphite was just so tanky, had so much armor that the towers were just bouncing off him. Like, he just did nothing. So holding that aggro, so your AD carry or Evelyn doesn't take the damage instead, is just very smart play overall. However, that is going to be game number 1 going down, and honestly, Pulse, I don't know about you, I did not see it going into the hands of Kalu OP here. I thought Dark Passage would start very, very strong and win the first game, but that's just blown this grand finals wide open.
Absolutely. This is a best of 3, so we could see Dark Passage come back into the second game and then bring it to the all-important third game. But until then, we will see you in the next game very shortly as we get all the teams back into the lobby, so we'll see you shortly.